Okay, my name is Chef Justine. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making baked chicken and Mediterranean quinoa salad. So we're going to start right away with the quinoa. Just cook it according to the package, whichever quinoa you get. This one is PC Organics. It says to empty the contents of the package into 2 cups of boiling water. So I already have my water in the pot. And I'm going to let that come to a boil before I add the contents. So while that's going, we're going to start cutting the vegetables for our salad. Oh, also, preheat your oven to 450 for the chicken, just so it's nice and ready to go when we're ready to put the chicken in. So, without any further ado, let's get cutting. I have green onions. You can use any kind of onions you want. It's the ones that I want to use. Green onions. I have cucumbers, tomato, bell pepper, any color bell pepper you want. Bell peppers, you can use any kind of bell peppers you want. I have an orange and a yellow here. You can use as much or as little of any of the veggies that you want to use. I also like to put kale in there, but unfortunately my grocery store is out of kale. So that's that. And I also have some cilantro and mint here. You could put parsley if you don't like either of these, or even just the mint. With just the mint, it's just as good. And yeah, that's what we have for our veggies. So we want to make sure our veggies are nice and clean. I'm going to start with my green onions. You can cut all the way to the whites if you want. And fun fact about green onions, just pop these in water and they'll grow you new ones. So cut them however you want. I'm going to cut them at a bit of an angle here just because it looks pretty. Throw all of that into your bowl of choice. And then your tomatoes, you can cut them how you want, but I'm going to show you how I like to cut mine for something like this and even for salsa. This is just a good tip. So I cut the top and the bottom. We're going to use them. Not that part. But you know how the tomato's full of seeds and full of juice and all that, which, you know, could be good, but it also adds like acidity, and sometimes it can make your salads or whatever you're making kind of like watery or mushy. So I cut a slit here, and then I just cut the outsides just to get the flesh of the tomato. And that's what you're left with. So now I'm just going to cut them kind of like into sticks or batinettes. And dice the tomato. I'm also going to throw that into the bowl because this is all going into our salad. And so it doesn't matter if we mix it all up. Now as for the top and the bottom, I just kind of cut around for the top. Dice that up. With tomatoes, you want to make sure you're working with a very sharp knife, not a serrated one, but a blade like this, and make sure it's nice and sharp. Cucumbers, you can keep the skin on or peel them. I prefer to keep the skin on. That's where all the fiber and nutrients are. I mean, there's definitely some in the flesh as well, but it's mostly in the skin. So With cucumbers, when it comes to dicing them, I like to just remove the seeds because you'll get big mouthfuls of straight up seed and it's not that good.
Miss your shot.
Penny's water dish. Man, we need a composting plant around here.
They're on sale at Home Depot.
But I mean a whole plant, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway. So this is what we're left with. They look like little boats almost. What I'm gonna do is the same thing as we did with the tomato. Make like matchsticks or batonets. The thinner they are, when they're thin, they're like matchsticks. When they're thicker, they're batonets. Just a little kitchen lingo for you guys. And again, just throw it all in. So my water is not boiling. I'm going to add the contents of the package, as it says on the box, of the quinoa to the water. So we're going to let that simmer for about 12 to 15 minutes. I put a timer for 13 minutes on my microwave just to let me know when it's ready. I'm also going to be cooking it at medium. I put it on high just to get the water boiling, but now that it's there, turn it down to medium and just let it simmer. We don't want it to burn or to boil over. So while that's going, we're going to continue with our vegetables. Same concept for the peppers as we did with the tomatoes. Cut the top and bottom, cut around the core. And we're going to use the top and bottoms as well in our salad. It just makes it easier to cut when you take the tops and bottoms off. So peppers in, and same thing with the yellow pepper. Make sure your knife is nice and sharp, always. It's actually more dangerous to be cutting with a dull knife than it is a sharp knife. It's more likely to slip, therefore more likely to cut yourself. So there we have it. We have all of our veggies cut. Personally, for the salad, I like to throw the herbs directly. I like to throw the herbs directly into the salad as opposed to in the vinaigrette. So So I have all these mint leaves here, and what I'm gonna do is just kind of bunch them up and kind of roll them into a bit of a nice tight package here and just slice across. This is what we called a chiffonade. So we're doing a mint chiffonade for the salad. For the cilantro, I don't want it to be as prominent, so I'm only going to use a tiny little bit. With cilantro, you could use the stems as well, so I'm not too stressed about removing the leaves. Again, we're gonna do a bit of that chiffonade style that we did with the mint. So it's literally just a bit. You don't have to put cilantro if you don't like it. So you can see the ratio of cilantro to mint. There's much more mint than there is cilantro. So I have about half of the block of feta cheese, and with this, you can dice it up if you want to, but I'm just gonna crumble it up. And you'll see some of the brine might leak into there. That's okay. Just adds flavor. Makes it nice and just adds a little bit of nice saltiness without being too overpowering. Of course, like I said, you can dice it up if you want, as big or as small, but I like to crumble mine. Gives a little bit more of a rustic look. All right, I'm gonna put this into the fridge so it just kind of has a chance to mix together. Actually, I'm gonna mix it all up so the flavors have a little time to, like I like to say, dance together and just make this nice aroma and taste, or this nice aroma and flavor. Oh, it smells so fresh. So into the fridge this goes. So as you can see, I have this massive chicken breast here. I'm gonna separate it a bit. I have more in my fridge from last night that I'm gonna use to make more salads with, but I saved one specifically for you guys so you can see how this is done. So this is the tender. We're gonna take that off. Some grocery stores or butcher shops take it off right away, so your chicken breast might not have it. You could also use chicken thighs if you prefer. I love chicken thighs. So what I'm gonna do is hold it down and just slice it lengthwise. Essentially like a butterfly, but you're going all the way through. So we have 3 nice pieces of chicken. What I'm gonna do with my clean hand here, and I know some of it's on my counter, don't worry, I'm gonna wash it up. So I'm gonna season some kosher salt, some pepper, some paprika, And some oregano. Just massage it all in so it's nice and even. And I have my parchment. You don't have to spray parchment, but I want to just to give it a bit of color, give the chicken a bit of color. So I'm going to do that, seasoning side down. As you can see, I'm keeping one hand clean. It just helps with everything. And we're going to do the same on this side. So I'm using kosher salt. You could use sea salt, table salt, whatever kind of salt you like. Pepper. Paprika. You can season your chicken however you like. If you don't like any of these spices, you don't have to use them. This just goes well with the whole Mediterranean flavors that we got going. And the oregano. So again, I'm just gonna massage that in, make sure it's even, nice and even. Then we're gonna pop that in the oven for about 15 or so minutes. Like I said, the oven is at 450. We want the internal temperature to read 165 degrees Fahrenheit when it's done, or until you don't see any more raw chicken or blood coming out. So the quinoa is perfectly done. It's nice and fluffy. To cool it down, I'm just gonna put it, it's a little bit burnt. I'm just gonna put it, you know, spread it into like a thin layer and onto this hotel pan or this insert, however, whatever you want to call it, the chafing dish. Just to help it cool down a little faster, you can make little holes in it if you want to let that steam come out. And once that's cool, we'll toss it with the vegetables and make the salad. So the vinaigrette is really, really simple. We're gonna do about a teaspoon or so of Dijon. You can put more or less if you want. That just helps with the emulsification. Then I have half a lemon. This was already in my fridge. That's why you didn't see me cutting it. I'm just gonna squeeze that in. If you want to, you could use more lemon juice, less vinegar. That's your call. Then we're gonna do about a cup or a quarter cup of vinegar. You could put less if you want. I like mine a little more on the acidic side. We're gonna do about a quarter cup of olive oil. A quarter cup plus 1/8 of a cup. Should be good. Oh, the vinegar I'm using is apple cider. You can use any vinegar you want. But just keep in mind that if you're going to use something like balsamic, it's going to have a bit of a different flavor. Red wine is a little more tangy. I highly suggest for this one to be apple cider or white wine vinegar. But again, if you have your preferences, you go ahead and use your preference. We're going to do a pinch of salt. Some pepper. And you could keep it as is, or if you want a bit of sweetness, you can add honey if you really want to keep it Mediterranean, or like you could put some maple syrup, like us Algonquins around here love to put on everything. And I'm gonna throw this in. This is it's just like a bottle blender. Typically you get them when you buy like new protein bottles. There's wire ones. This one just happens to be an Anchor because it's just the store I bought the bottle at has anchors instead of the wire ones. So we're just gonna shake it up. I forgot one thing. A little extra oregano. So we just shake that up. It's nice and emulsified, and I'm going to give it a bit of a taste. It's perfect. So our chicken's ready. We're going to take that out of the oven. So it should look something like this. I'm just going to let it cool back here. Our quinoa, I could feel, is nice and cool. Now I'm just going to add the quinoa to the salad bowl. Now quinoa is a great source of carbs and protein, so that's why we're using it. I mean, you could use rice if you wanted to, but quinoa, from what I remember, has a little higher protein. So anyway, this is how it looks so far. We're gonna add in our vinaigrette. I'm just adding the whole thing. You can add less if you want, but what I like is that it kind of soaks in that flavor of the vinaigrette, and it just makes it that much better. Now, you can just store it like this, put it in the fridge if you want, but if you want to do like a meal prep, in the sense where you want to have multiple meals ready, you can get a container like this and put a cup of the salad in here, because you're gonna have the quinoa and the veggies in there, so you want to make sure you have enough of both. So a whole cup about is ideal. And we have the chicken. You can slice it, dice it, do whatever you want to it. You want to put about 4 ounces or so of the chicken in there. You can weigh it out, or if you just want to measure it, it's about 2/3 of a cup, roughly, when you're using measurements like a cup rather than a scale. So there you have it. You have about a cup of the quinoa salad and about 2/3 of a cup of chicken right beside it. Now you can eat it as is. You can heat it up if you want to, but typically eat this cold. But another way you can eat this too is if you have a pita pocket, you cut it in half and you can you can mix it all together and stuff it in there. And if you want it a little more saucy, you can add some tzatziki. You can make the tzatziki, you could buy it yourself, whatever's most convenient for you. But it's great to just take and have on the go. And like I said, if you just need something real fast and need to eat it with your hands, put it in a pita pocket. Highly, highly recommend. So the quinoa salad will stay good in your fridge for about 7 days. The chicken, 3 to 4. So you don't want to make too much chicken in advance if you're going to be the only one eating it. And just remember to keep it below 4 degrees Celsius to keep bacteria from just growing way too fast. And now for our favorite part comes the taste test. And as always, Minoisin, guys. It's super fresh. All the vegetables. It has a nice little bit of mintiness in there. Cilantro is not at all overpowering. It just complements the mint a little bit. So, again, miigwech everyone. Thank you for cooking with me. Hopefully see you next time.